This has literally been so long in the making that it barely feels real. The Switch 2 is finally a reality, and to think it has only been 8 fucking years since we've had a new Nintendo console. I have to say, it is a welcome breath of fresh air that this is something we can see with our own eyes now. Despite the success Nintendo has had with their own exclusive game market, the hardware and the software of the Switch is very dated at this point to keep up with not only third-party support, but also benchmark expectations. Now, that is an issue of the past, and it is clear that all the concerns of the fans have been listened to and innovated upon. Let's start with the design. The bigger screen with HDR is a massive win for handheld enjoyment. One issue with the Switch was UI visibility, and having that increased screen size and pixel density will be a wonderful enhancement. The form factor is super clean, the rounded edges make the Joy-Cons look so much more comfortable. The bigger thumbsticks with a more dense material grip will make longer play sessions way more pleasant as well. The magnetic attachments will probably reduce the risk of damage/wear on the tablet itself. I do wonder how secure it will be comparatively, but I can only imagine it will be fairly seamless in the removal process compared to the Switch 1. Larger SL/SR buttons were a huge need when using one of the Joy-Cons to play a multiplayer game. If you didn't have the sliding attachment, it is near impossible to use the two buttons that exist precisely when playing a competitive game like Mario Party. So that is a huge win there. The noise-canceling microphone is a slick way to incentivize multiplayer without the use of accessories, which make a lot of sense for a family-branded console, as well as a couch co-op situation where gameplay is being recorded with voice audio, or you have some people jumping in remotely. The camera feature, much like a lot of Nintendo's ideas, is a bit of a gimmick that I think might make for a more fun multiplayer experience for some, but definitely not for everyone. It could incentivize more people to stream multiplayer content with friends outside of platforms like Discord, however, which will bring more advertising to the platform from content creators. I can definitely see why Nintendo did this. Using the Joy-Cons as a mouse is a cool feature that can make more types of games accessible that would primarily appeal to PC gamers. I could see RTS-style games making a comeback for people that prefer handheld portable gaming more, and while I don't think most people will use it for couch gameplay, I think it's a smart option to have available for people that prefer a mouse to a controller. That being said, it doesn't look super comfortable to use as a mouse compared to an actual computer mouse, so it might not cut into that market as much as Nintendo might hope. Having physical options for game purchase will make collectors and game preservationists very happy. Nintendo knows this is a big part of their appeal at this point in the digital era, and I'm glad to see them adapt accordingly. Making games more shareable over local area networks is cool as well. Making it less necessary for multiple people in one household to have to buy a game multiple times is extremely consumer friendly, and it will make friends want to have their own consoles to have fun while hanging out with friends in person. This is a great marketing move for people that grew up with Nintendo co-op experiences, as well as appealing to younger people that can't afford to buy every game that their friend has. Lastly is a big one. Games running at 120 frames per second on a Nintendo console. The fact that Nintendo can now compete with personal computers for performance on exclusive games is huge. This alone will probably lead to the most sales of this console. Throw in 4K 60 FPS while docked for a modern television gameplay experience, and everyone will want to upgrade for just that alone. This is the biggest ask from fans over the last few years, and it will give this console more legs than any other hardware or software upgrade that I've mentioned so far. Oh, and it's also nice to have some more base storage, but that's pretty much a given at this point. What would a Direct be without game announcements, though? And boy, does this one deliver. Right off the bat, we get something we really haven't had since the Wii U, and that is a brand new Mario Kart concept. Who would have thought that an open world racer was the fresh idea? Well, I guess Forza would have, but Who cares about them? This is a racing game that most people actually want to play. From environmental effects on stages, to driving to and from new locations, to racing across the large map, it feels like a completely reimagined idea. Honestly, the formula was getting too hard to justify redoing at this point, and this is a perfect way to make the game bigger and more fun to accomplish. I can't wait to see the shortcuts that people come up with to win races. It wouldn't be a new Nintendo console without a new Zelda experience. And once again, they are making a Hyrule Warriors game that should have been the mainline game story in the first goddamn place. Age of Calamity is a great way to experience the interesting parts of Breath of the Wild's narrative, and I assume that Age of Imprisonment will be the same for Tears of the Kingdom. Dynasty Warriors-like gameplay is a bit repetitive for me, but I'm interested to play this one more for the story. Getting HD high FPS upgrades to the mainline games will be a welcome change as well. I'm sure the Nintendo modding community is letting out a big sigh and saying, "Finally, Nintendo!" Getting extra content for new games on old consoles will be a great reason to upgrade for many people as well. Adding new content for games like Mario Party Jamboree and Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a solid upsell, and will make people that haven't got those games yet prefer to get them on Switch 2 instead. Adding pre-existing titles that the Switch 1 couldn't handle is great to see as well. It feels appropriate that the Switch launched with the most innovative open-world game of its time, only to have its offspring running Elden Ring in high performance. Hogwarts Legacy will not only now be able to be played on the go, but it will actually look like its mainline release. So that's great. Hades 2 and Hollow Knight 2 will perform that much smoother on a console that many people will want to play them on, which is fantastic. The consumer is winning a lot in this direct. Having a new 007 game made by the team that made arguably the best spy game to date is exciting. And the fact that it is announced on a Nintendo console feels fitting with how iconic GoldenEye was for the rise of 3D Nintendo consoles back in the day. Hopefully, we get to see more soon. Metroid Prime Beyond looks so clean in this high frame rate. I hope they release HD remasters of 2 and 3 soon too, because I really want to replay those before I dig into this. But regardless, I am hyped to play any Nintendo first-party game in 4K, or at a crisp 1080p at 120 frames per second. It feels like it has been overdue for so long that I can't really believe that it's real. Kirby Air Ride was such a popular game, and to see it get a sequel made makes me happy for the people that really loved that game. It wasn't really my thing at the time, but I'd try it if a friend had it on hand. One thing that is made for people like me, though, is a new From Software game, and one that is exclusive to the Switch 2. I thought that this was Bloodborne 2 at the beginning of the trailer, but honestly, it looks pretty close to it. Duskbloods just looks like even more creative dark fantasy from our favorite developer, and I'm so here for it. Throw in a little steampunk? Yeah, why not? It worked for Lies of P, and with FromSoft's polished design policies, it will be magical. And finally, we get a new 3D Donkey Kong platformer. It's only been a million years. Donkey Kong Bananza is the Mario Odyssey 2 that this launch needed. It's fresh, it has a brand new design, and the destructible environment just looks so fun and diverse with gameplay possibilities. I can't wait for new level designs and boss battles to overcome as everyone's favorite cartoon ape. But was this the most massive news of the Direct? No, not even close in my humble opinion, because wouldn't you know it, they did it. Son of a bitch, they actually made GameCube emulation a thing on Switch. Do you know how expensive some of these games are to buy right now? There is a whole network of newer Nintendo customers that would never have an introduction to so many classic peak Nintendo games without this happening. Not only will it make less people have to rely on emulation to gain access to games like Chibi Robo, F-Zero GX, or Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Oh my god, the expensiveness of Fire Emblem Path of fucking radiance, but it will hopefully bring down the price of physical copies of those games that have no legitimate alternative for play. The GameCube is my favorite Nintendo console ever made, so the fact that these games will be accessible with their membership option and not just sold to us incrementally as remasters is going to keep me and millions of other people actively involved in the Nintendo ecosystem. And I also don't want to, buy old copies of my favorite Mario sporting games for over $60. Hopefully this is a sign that Nintendo will expand their digital titles more to include old games that they don't have for sale currently on any of their stores. I am kind of hoping for more HD remasters of this era of games too, though, because it would be nice to have widescreen HD physical copies of them as well. Well guys, that's my take on this glorious direct. Tell me what you were most interested in down below. Like and subscribe for more of my takes and essays. And have fun planning out what games you will play on your new Switch in the coming months. Also, thank you for coming to the Dutch Ritz party.